Alright guys, welcome to today's episode. Well, today's going to be a little bit different. Today we're talking about how much it actually costs to own a Boss 302. Alright guys, so if you've been following my channel for the last little while, you know I've owned the car for over a year now. I bought it last August, and in that time I managed to actually put on about 24,000 kilometers on the car since I bought it. So during that time, it's really given me a good idea and a perspective on how much these cars actually cost to run and maintain. So we're going to break it down in today's episode, give you an idea if maybe you're curious about buying a Boss 302, what that cost of ownership is really going to look like for you in the long term. So let's get into it. Alright guys, I get asked this all the time. People always want to know, how much did that car cost? Well, you know, when this car was brand new, and we're talking in Canadian dollars here, I'll put some line items here and I'll kind of maybe do the conversions for the American guys, but the car was $54,000 brand new back in 2013. That was with the standard Boss 302 trim package, race red. There wasn't really any options on these cars, but that's just kind of how it was by the time it hit the dealership floor. So I bought the car when it was 3 years old, and after 3 years it only depreciated down a little bit. The dealership was actually asking about $47,000 for the car. It had 3,800 kilometers on it at the time that I bought it, and I managed to negotiate the car down to about $42,000. Now that's based on the fact that I've had a good relationship with that dealership. I bought other Mustangs from them, I bought a Celine, a few other cars as well. So because I kind of had that history with them, they're willing to work with me. They knew I was going to buy the car pretty much that day and drive away. So, and if you saw my other videos, it ended up being a little bit longer of a situation, but you guys can go back and watch those ones. Definitely I kind of go over all those details, but that's about how much one of those cars goes back in 2016. Now, I actually know someone recently who just bought another Boss 302, and the prices have still kind of held there. So they're actually a really good investment in that sense. The pricing has kind of stayed flat, at least up here in Canada. So that's a pretty good deal. Alright, well, when you're talking general maintenance on these cars, when you're driving them this much, you're going to do oil changes. And I think that's one of the biggest contributing costs on one of these vehicles. Now, the car takes 5W50 oil, and you can go and get Motorcraft from Ford. I like to kind of make sure I put something a little bit nicer in the car, so I'm putting Redline in the car. I'll put all the links in the description below on all the products that I use in the vehicle, but it takes 9 quarts in total. So it has a oil cooler on it, so a remote oil cooler, so that probably takes it a little bit, but the actual pan itself is actually quite large too. So by the time you buy your oil, 9 quarts, and you actually get your filter, you're looking in and around about $180 every time you do an oil change on this thing. So that's quite expensive actually when you look at it, but that's kind of typical of a lot of these modern cars. Even the new GT350, I think it actually takes 10 quarts of oil. So you're still in and around that same price. You're getting close to $200 Canadian just to do an oil change on one of these things. So keep that in mind when you're considering that. That's going to be one of the bigger costs on the car. Alright, let's talk gas mileage, guys. So obviously, you know, a car like this, you're going to want to put the best gas in it. So for myself, I actually always go to Chevron, and in Canada we have 94 octane. So the car's been tuned on 94 octane, so that's what I'm going to run in it. And up here, at the time I made this video, we're talking anywhere between $1.50 to $1.65 per liter in these cars. Now this car takes about 55 liters, so we're talking sometimes upwards to $80 to fill the tank of gas. Now I get about 16 liters per 100K. Don't worry, I'll do all the conversions here for you guys, but that roughly nets out to about 4 to 5 days before in between tanks. I drive about 100 kilometers a day back and forth to work, so yeah, I'm in and around that 400 kilometer per tank range, and you know that does add up a little bit over time. Alright, so insurance. I'm located in Vancouver, British Columbia, and things are a little bit different out here in BC. We actually have a government-issued insurance company. They're called ICBC, Insurance Corporation of British Columbia. And they mandate the insurance for all vehicles. Now, you can get private insurance, but you still have to get the basic insurance with them. And that's actually what I've gone and done. I've been driving for about 17 years now, clean record, so I've been able to actually, utilize the private insurance out here, but it still adds up. all in, and I'm in about $1,900 a year to insure the car. Now that's giving me full comprehensive, fire, theft, vandalism, all that type of stuff. You know, so it is pretty expensive when you look across the country, at least in Canada. And I know for a lot of you American guys out there, you can actually get some pretty good deals if you have the same kind of driving history that I have down in the States. But unfortunately up here, it's about $1,900 for the entire year just to insure the car. So next thing you have to consider when you're going to take a Boss 302, especially if you're in a situation like me where you're going to daily drive the car, is you're going to have to look at the tires. Now the car came with Pirelli P0s on it. I've made a video kind of blatantly saying my my complete hate for these tires. They just don't work in our climate up here in BC. You know, it does get warm, but it's generally pretty cool, and it rains a lot. Not the right tire to be running. So as you guys know, I am driving the car all year round, and we are going to see a bit of snow. So I ended up going with Continental DWS06, which is kind of like a high performance all season tire, dry, wet, and snow. So it should hold out for the snow. We'll see how it goes. I've had a couple light dustings, and so far it's performed excellent. In the rain, phenomenal tire. But once again, it does cost you a little bit to put all 4 new tires on the vehicle. That ended up costing me in and around $1,500 by the time it was all said and done with taxes, levies, and having them installed. So about $1,500 for a set of tires. Now you can offset this and get another set of wheels and tires for summer and rotate them that way. And that's definitely going to help, you know, make sure that you can extend the longevity of your tires and make sure that they last. But keep that in mind, you know, if you're going to daily drive this car and it's a summer tire, softer compound, they are going to burn out fairly quick. You're going to need to consider budgeting for a new set of tires pretty soon. Alright guys, next major thing that's come up, and it's no surprise, is that MT82 transmission that's in these cars. They are notoriously bad, lots of issues with them, and you can spend a ton of money trying to solve them. What I've discovered, you know, when I'm looking back at the whole situation, the clutch definitely helps. If you haven't already had a transmission go bad and you're just having those problems with the lockout, the clutch will really save it. So in my situation, I actually had the 5th gear blowout on the transmission, so which is also very common. And so at the time, I figured if the transmission's already coming out, now's the time to actually upgrade that clutch at the same time. And that actually solved the high RPM lockout, which is kind of related but not related to the fact that that 5th gear blew out. That's apparently just a really common issue on these things as well. So 5th gear blowout, that was actually done under warranty, so I don't really have a number as to how much that costs. When Ford gives you the invoice, it's actually completely blank. It doesn't tell you how much everything costs. So maybe some of you guys have had to actually pay for this. You can leave some comments below, let other people know what that's roughly cost. I know there are aftermarket guys out there that do transmission rebuilds, and if I had to actually be out of pocket for the repair, I definitely would have gone down that route. But the fact that it was still under warranty, why not have the dealership pay for it instead of myself? But the clutch was not covered, so I ended up going with a new clutch, new pressure plate, new flywheel, throwout bearing, pilot bearing, new bolts for the flywheel, the whole 9 yards. That whole setup was about $1,200 to get that done. Now, was it worth it? Absolutely. It solved the high RPM lockout, clutch engagement is much better, it's not so vague anymore, and the pedal no longer kind of loses pressure after a high RPM shift, which is really common with the factory clutch on these things. So definitely keep that in mind. If it hasn't been done already on the Boss 302 that you're looking at, you're going to want to budget for that as well. You're going to want to make sure you kind of consider putting one of those into the car as soon as possible. And really beyond that, there hasn't been much else. There has been a couple of warranty related things. I've had to get the airbags recalled, but that was the same for all Mustangs, not so much specifically to the Boss 302. And it wasn't just Ford, it was almost every single car manufacturer had issues with their airbags and they all had to get replaced. So that was done under warranty. The transmission was done under warranty. And beyond that, the car's been really reliable. Oil, gas, drive, go. Every day it starts. I've had no other problems with the car whatsoever. Anything else I've done to it has just purely been because I enjoy modifying cars, and I've actually been on the route to try and make this car faster, whether it be in drag racing, road racing, autocross. So everything else I've put into the car money-wise has just really been to improve it. So I hope this helps you guys out very much. I hope you enjoyed this video. Like this video. If you didn't, give it a thumbs down. That's totally fine too. But subscribe if you guys haven't already, and we'll see you on the next one. Thanks.